Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Vibe Arts Converge Artist Talk, and you are here to tune in and listen to the amazing artists that were a part of this project. Uh, it was such a short time to pull this all together, but they did a fantastic job of creating some beautiful artwork that is currently on display at Meridian Arts Center. To begin, Vibe Arts would like to acknowledge all treaty peoples. We show gratitude for the original people, the defenders and nurturers of this land, and acknowledge the injustices against Indigenous communities to raise awareness and bring about actions we as settlers can support in order to work in solidarity. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit and 7 Anishinaabe nations, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. It is vital not only to acknowledge the land that we live, create, and come together on, but to uphold the values and the history of the people that come before us, to always continue to learning from them, to understand the true meaning of what it means to be settlers on this land, and ensure that we are continuing the work of reconciliation. Again, this is Vibe Arts Converge Artist Talk. My name is Onika Powell. I am the Artistic Director of Vibe Arts, and for those who don't know, Vibe Arts is a nonprofit arts organization committed to providing high-quality arts education to children and youth in under-resourced communities, and also providing mentorship to young emerging artists coming from the communities that we serve. Vibe values the significance of lived experiences and this is just one of the many initiatives created to strengthen our communities and networks, as well as create spaces and opportunities to help our artists overcome systemic barriers. So, what is Converge? Converge is an exhibition of collaborative artwork from 16 youth artists that have been paired to create artwork that speaks to their unique identities. In under just 2 months, our artists have trusted themselves and their artistic abilities to create everything that you see on display at Meridian Art Center. This evening, we're going to hear from our artists as they share their art creation process and how they were able to work collaboratively to make work that truly represents their cultural backgrounds in an attempt to put on display the similarities and differences between the roots of those of us living in Canada. Converge is made possible by the Government of Canada's Community Support, Multiculturalism, and Anti-Racism Initiatives, also known as CSMARI program. So to begin, I'll have all of our artists introduce themselves one by one, and we'll start with Karin.
Hello, my name is Karin. I am mainly a dancer, but recently I started doing film photography. And I've been writing poetry for a while, but this exhibit was the first time I presented my poetry. So it's pretty special, but also kind of scary expanding my artistry. But I'm happy to have the support of Vibe Arts for my journey. Passing it on.
Thank you, Karin. Next up, Katerina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katerina Sinclair. I'm an Anishinaabe Filipina artist from Winnipeg, raised in Toronto. My practice is 7 or 8 or 12 mediums deep now. I'm traditionally a visual artist, so painting, drawing, digital illustration, and I've gotten more into molds and casting and Jesmonite, if anyone's familiar with that now. Yeah, passing it on.
Thank you so much. Lucia.
Ani bonjour, my name is Lucia Laford. I'm an Indigenous woodland style painter and an Indigenous arts educator. I paint primarily using acrylics in a woodland style. I also draw with markers as well. And I'm a proud educator and have been teaching Indigenous woodland style drawing and painting and leatherwork for the last five years. Miigwech.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sari.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Sari, SRE. I am a dancer, songwriter, artist, hip hop artist, and performer. And I'm happy to be a part of this exhibition with all these lovely, wonderful, creative artists.
Thank you. Thank you. Aaliyah.
Hi guys, my name's Aaliyah. I'm a ceramic artist and artist instructor. I've been doing this for maybe the past 4 years, and I am from the Bahamas.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Next up, we have Naomi.
Hey, my name is Naomi. I am primarily a photographer. I've recently worked into creating interior decor, working with screen printing and sewing and embroidery. And then I also teach on the side, different art forms, but primarily photography and a bit of mark making. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we do have other artists that will be popping in later on this afternoon this evening, sorry, depending on where you are, but to join the conversation, and you'll hear from them soon. So let's begin with, since we have Aaliyah and Sari, let's begin with you two. If you could tell us a little bit about your project, the title, how you came about it, any interesting, discoveries or aha moments while creating, and how, the whole experience was for you.
Who's going first, Aaliyah? Are we doing the same order?
Do I have like bad background noise if I just leave it unmuted?
No.
Okay, amazing, good. Oh my gosh, that's the piece.
That's crazy. Whoa, that's awesome. Oh my God.
Okay, so I guess basically Sari and I connected initially, and we obviously had a hard time trying to figure out how we can merge ceramics and like audio engineering, or like, just like sound into one physical piece. And the first idea that kind of came to our heads was obviously, like taking a song, putting the words on a piece. We were like, no, we want to take it farther than that. And so we started kind of like digging deeper down into the roots of both of our kind of like crafts that, that we each do. And Sari came up with the information that he found about, vinyls being one of like the first forms of sound being recorded in like a physical form. And I guess you can take it away from here and expand on like the song, what it means, and then how you approached me with all of that and the info you got.
For sure. So the way we came about it is that I had a song that I was not ready, I guess, to release. And because this was a song that spoke about not only vulnerability, but my experience I had through the pandemic, and how Meet Me came about was just when you have someone close to you as a friend or a sibling or a parent that you are closed off to the world, and you're not able to go out like you used to. You're not able to go for the late night drives. You're not able to communicate. Everyone had to wear masks, be in their house. And this is literally when we were in lockdown, everyone had to just stay inside. And I wrote this because it's just one of those where it's like, once this is over, I want you to meet me outside and let's catch up, let's talk. And when I explained the song to Aaliyah, we did not know how we're going to combine our creative minds together, but she literally took the idea and ran with it around the track like 5 times. And she just like made it into something that I did not expect. And then for her to just go through the motion in the process of creating this piece, it really spoke a lot, because with my view on it was how the chain was locked on the how it's pierced through the tongue, where it's like the lockdown took like our voice away. We couldn't really see people, we couldn't really talk to anyone. And I believe, Alea, you had another explanation about that too.
Yeah, so it was kind of like how he had his song, and that was him trying to, meet up with people. Mine was the complete opposite, and it referred mostly to like what the pandemic did to me personally, and his was more so what happened to like him and his friends, like in more of a communal sense. So I thought it was really cool that we combined both kind of like aspects, one of personal, one more communal. My like sculpture itself that I added onto the vinyl piece does have a separate meaning, but I'm not going to get into that because the kind of like what you explained was really enough that needed to be said concerning the Converge exhibit. But yeah, we basically took two separate pieces that we hadn't planned on releasing, but they spoke to us. We both made them around like the same time during the pandemic, and it was kind of like fate for us to be like paired together, that it kind of just worked out. And we chose to make the vinyl because, like I said, it's one of the oldest forms of music being recorded, and clay is one of the oldest forms of art that there is within many cultures. And I thought that was just kind of like a little like ironic, helpful to us as well. And yeah, we just worked together. I sent him back and forth like several designs of how I should design the cover of the vinyl. We did a lot of research. It was, a lot of fun, but once we got past the barrier of kind of like our respective crafts and figured out what we were going to do, then it all kind of just like fell into place.
Nice, nice, nice. Beautiful. And of course, we're going to have more questions later once everybody goes through their artwork. But before I move on, sorry, where can we hear the track?
Holy, you can find the track Meet Me by SRE on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify. I'm a Spotify guy, don't hate. Google Play if you use that, Amazon, everywhere. It's on YouTube too. So anywhere you can find music, I'm there. Meet me at your streaming platform.
Basically, after this artist talk, you're staying on YouTube and you're going to search up Meet Me by Sorry SRE. All right.
Of course.
Next up, we have Desiree and Katarina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Desiree. My pronouns are she, her. My power just went out and came back on, but I'm glad I'm back. I'm here. If I disappear again, that's why. Yeah, Desiree. Pronouns are she, her. I'm a spoken word poet, and I dabble in photography a little bit. And now Katerina and I got to do some fluid ink painting. I'll pass it over to Katerina.
Hi, y'all. I'm Katerina. So this was an interesting one because for the Converge exhibit, there was like 8 visual artists and 8 non-necessarily visual artists. And so it was really dope to like collaborate with somebody from a different medium. And Desiree had a great time like painting with me, I hope. And so we collaborated on this painting, and she wrote the poem to go alongside it. And it's sort of a visual discussion, if you will, on the systems that be and how they might sort of interfere with how we transform and grow as humans. So it kind of like ties into like themes of butterflies and how they are sensitive throughout multiple stages of their growth, and how while it might not be immediately visible as like a butterfly, there is like a sort of imagery there and alluding to a butterfly image. And while it might not be recognizable immediately, like that's still sort of, it sort of speaks to the story of how we change as well. Like we might not change according to how we thought we would. Sorry. Yeah, Desiree, do you want to sharpen it up?
Yeah, no. So yeah, Katerina really said it well. Just sort of combining with both of our backgrounds, myself being Indo-Caribbean and Black, Katerina being Anishinaabe and Filipino, and both of the sort of colonial systems that exist and ultimately that existed and, well, I mean, still exist, and brought us and our families here today, and sort of looking at that. And I have to shout out our mentor, Britta, who I know is tuned in. She said, this is so fire. She said, it's examining the tension between oneself's trajectory and how the systems affect that. So we sort of looked at it from the perspective of our ancestors and with the situations that they were faced with and they were in various points in history, how they sort of looked at those things and how they moved forward and how they sort of crafted what our history and what moving forward will sort of look like. And that's sort of where the butterfly comes in. And Katerina taught me something really cool about butterflies and anything that sort of goes into a chrysalis, which I kind of mentioned in the poem, is that in that state, when it's forming, it's a very vulnerable place, because it's just like, you're just like cartilage, it's just like mush, like caterpillar mush at that point. So I think that's really quite interesting, and I really drew from that. And Katerina let me play with her fluid ink paints, which is fun. And yeah, and that's the pieces. The artwork is a combination of both of some of our fluid ink stuff that we did, and yeah, it was a really great experience to kind of examine both of our converge, if you will, both of our backgrounds. And even though we come from very different places and very different histories in a lot of ways, there's a lot of things that we've already met in a lot of ways, I think, because of both of our histories in that way. So yeah. Thank you, Vibe.
Yeah, thanks, Vibe.
Thank you both for trusting us with this opportunity. Thank you so much. We will get back to you with more questions. But next up, Lucia.
Ani, hello everybody. This piece was really exciting to do along with Louis. So I was paired with a DJ, and so we were thinking about, that drum, and we were thinking about what unites us. And I had made this drum when I was a lot younger. I was 18 when I had made that, and I've carried it, and now it was getting a crack on the side, so it was time to retire it. And I had been thinking for months about retiring this drum. And so when you retire the drum, you can change it into something, or you can put it on the land. And so I had decided, when this project came along, well, this is a great way to transform this, and use this into another piece. And our mentor, Sandra Tarantino, who was amazing and so helpful throughout the whole process, suggested opening up the piece, and so instead of just painting on the drum in that woodland style with all the lines and the dots coming from, the center of the drum, I added florals. So I hand drew florals with marker and cut them all out. So there's 64 of those around, and they're actually different flowers that are from Ontario that are blooming in different seasons, spring and fall. But we have the wild strawberry, there's an arrowhead, there's a bloodroot, and there's a patica, and those are all medicines themselves. So these florals are speaking to oh, you're zooming in. Awesome. They're speaking to the medicines, from the land, but also from that heartbeat, from that drum that's uniting us. And DJ Louis came up with, a mix of our tracks, because I had sent him some recordings of me on the drum, on my grandmother drum, doing a couple of songs, and he was gonna, mix those in with music from, his background and his culture. And he came up with this really awesome mix. And there was a QR code at the exhibition that night. And when I hear it, I think, wow, that drum is uniting all of us. So many cultures have that drum, as a central part of their nationhood and who they are as people. And this drum is really central to who I am as an Anishinaabe woman, and Irish. So I'm also Irish, and there's a drum in Ireland, in Celt, in that land as well. So it was a really fun piece to do. It came together really quick. It was definitely stressful in some terms, because I'm up here in Sault Ste. Marie, Bawating, so I knew that I had to mail my piece down to Vibe Arts no matter what. So then all these things coming together, that's how this piece came to be, all these tiny puzzle pieces, and deciding and how to make this work. And then lastly, I just wanted to talk about something in woodland style art that's prevalent in this piece, is the black lines. So the black lines are really important in woodland style art, and they speak about that connection between us and spirit and everything, the plant nation, the star nation, you know, all the bird nations, all the, you know, the animal nations, and us as people. So those black lines, and they're around all the flowers and they're on that drum. Those black lines are showing that connection that maybe sometimes we can't see with our eyes, but most times, a lot of us, if we dig deep and, you know, ground ourselves, we can see that connection. So that was really important. And it was really great to meet, you know, DJ Louis and to work with him. And thank you, Sandra Tarantino. And also shout out to Hannah Doucette from Vibe Arts for hanging this piece, because she had to install 64 little flowers. And I sent a little photo for her to reference, but she did a really great job. And thank you, Vibe Arts. Miigwech.
Thank you, Lucia. And as you mentioned, for all those listening and tuning in right now, there is a track that's associated with this artwork here. And again, a lot of artwork to check out. When you get a chance, head on over to Meridian Arts Center. And next up, we have Naomi and Shanice.
Hey.
Hey.
Shanice, would you like me to start, or? Oh, I'm gonna take that as a yes.
Might be some issues with tech for Shanice, but you could begin. And then Shanice, when you get a chance, you could jump in.
Okay, so when Shanice and I first spoke, we shared some things that we were going through at the moment. And similar, like as I'm listening to everyone else's artist statements, I feel like it echoes what she and I were talking about. There's just a lot of similarities in terms of people going through shifts this year, and in those shifts there's been a lot of challenging moments or phases. So we decided that we wanted to talk about this, but we didn't know how. We knew we had a quick turnaround time, so we knew we were going to work with photography and dance, but sometimes I find you may have a message and it may need more time for it to turn out the way that you want. But with Shanice and I, and with our mentor Kofi, we were able to work through this. Technically, it took 3 different shoots, and from the beginning, we felt like that would be good to do multiple shoots and then, you know, gauge if our message is being shown visually and what to change. So we knew we had to start as early as possible so that we had time for multiple shoots. Sorry if my voice starts going. But then we found this quote and we ran with it. We used this quote for our voiceover. So we had a recording. Shanice recorded herself reading the quote. And every shot that we did, it was through intuitive dance. So she moved through what she was listening to. There was no type of choreography. It was very intuitive. And what I really loved about that is through just us being playful and not trying to overplan things, it actually made the most sense. Everything came together as it was really echoing life and what life was trying to teach us. I feel like I'm probably going a little bit on a tangent here, but it's related, and I swear it is what the photos are about. I have a little bit more to say, but I want to pass it on to Shanice first, and then.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm in the subway. I just left work, so hopefully it's not too loud, but let me know if you can. But yeah, Naomi basically gave a good summary of like the beginnings of the process. Yeah, we were very like, how are we going to put these 2 things together? We thought about like some sort of not mission statement, but like a quote or something to work with. And I ended up finding that quote in a journal that I wrote last summer. And it like perfectly summed up everything that we were kind of feeling and experiencing. So as you said, I recorded my voice reading the quote and moved as I listened to it. There are a lot of really important pieces in it about like transformation and chaos and play. And I feel like each of the 3 shoots in an interesting way kind of like represented each of those things. But I think I wouldn't say the most important, but one of the most important pieces of this whole process for me was that play part and not necessarily, we had a plan for a lot of things, but not necessarily like over planning, just being very open no matter what we were doing. Like we definitely had some things happen with like the location, like the last two locations were not the ones we wanted, but there's permit stuff and all these other things that kind of got in the way. And again, that last shoot was very last minute, like on the Saturday before the exhibit. So very last minute, but we were just like, we have to do the third one. It just felt like it would be unfinished. Like we both wanted to know like what the last one would be, and Kofi was really great in encouraging us to do that last minute shoot, even though it was so close. But even for our whole process, we really appreciated Kofi's input. I went in like wanting someone to ask me a lot of questions, a lot of difficult questions, and I think Naomi can agree that he made us think a lot. And I think that's part of why we ended up with this at the end. He made us really think about what we wanted to do. He made us think about like how much we want people to understand what we're saying. That was a really big piece. And yeah, is there anything I'm missing, Naomi?
Not really. I I think that touched on a lot. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I will add this. So I loved your idea when we were talking about laying out the photos, and how what we were talking about isn't necessarily linear, and how, for example, this image in the middle kind of represents that stillness, taking a breath in the midst of all the changes. So what I also loved about this layout was that you could be in any of these phases, like let's say maybe it's anger or resistance or the letting go, the joy, the release, the confusion and not knowing what's going on. Like whatever the moment is, you can always come back to the center. And maybe through that you end up on the other side of it. Or maybe you end up where you were. You know, life is lifing, and I think it's the acceptance of each phase that was important and not needing to see it as linear. So what I love about art is like how it can turn concepts like that into something you can visually understand. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. And like you were saying, that third, I think something else but with us that really worked was, even though we both had high expectations for ourselves, and we knew we had good photos in the first set, but we felt like let's just keep trying. Like there was a commitment to it, and I'm just really glad that we continued. I feel like it told the story better. But yeah.
Thank you both of you. No, it definitely came out beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And of course, there's more questions to come. Next up, we have Karin.
Hello. So I haven't even seen my piece in person yet because I'm in Montreal doing my other side of work, which is a dancer, and there's just a lot happening over here. And what are the questions?
Just tell us about the title, how you and Radha worked together to create this, just about your journey.
So we worked on this piece remotely. We had a lot of phone calls, Zoom calls, and some sessions with our mentor Britta to help us, I guess, brainstorm and hone in on a theme, because Radha and I, we both had a lot of ideas of what the piece was going to be, and honestly we couldn't narrow down on something specific, so we decided to go with all of our ideas and kind of display like a lot of our ideas, because we made 7 pieces. And it features my film photography, it features Radha's painting, and then it features our poetry, and also some of the black pieces is like a combination of my words and her painting. And the title of this like 7-piece gallery is Seeds We've Sown. And like it's just it's a lot going on, but in short, it is our journey of growth and like growing through adversity and like our healing in like visual form and what we've been through this last year. Some of the poetry is actually some of our journal entries that we've edited to create poems. And yeah, just it's our healing and our growth as artists, as people of color growing up in Canada and like feeling unsupported by the system and feeling unsupported, like for me, by my family to pursue art. But like art is my path of healing. And I guess in a way I didn't follow the rules where I used my medium as a dancer. Like I totally did writing and photography, but we just had to work with the confines of like me and Rada being in different cities. So like I actually sent these images to her and she like I printed it and then she went to the store to pick it up and she framed it. So it was like really interesting to work in that way. But yeah, it's like about rising through all the pressure, rising through whatever like mental health issues we may have or shitty situations that seem to like burden us, but like we always grow. We grow through whatever environment, whatever situation that we're in. And like that's what the images represents for me. Is like wherever I'm planted, like I'm gonna grow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of this from all of you. Sorry. Very therapeutic. You know, that wasn't our goal, but we're glad that, you know, this opportunity allowed all of you to just kind of reflect even more and just push forward. So thank you for sharing and thank you for your artwork. And don't worry, Karin. We're seeing a new side of you, but don't worry, we'll get back to you with that. I know there is some other artists on the calls, but of course, tech, the world we live in right now, they're in and out. So first question, I am gonna pass it over to Lucia because you mentioned that you know you're in CSMARI and DJ Louis V's here in Toronto. What were those conversations like?
Oh, they were definitely trying to steal moments, basically. You know, I work and he works. So, you know, he'd be in the car, I'd be in the car, especially with Sandra, getting 3 people together that are in, you know, basically very different places and then trying to all come, you know, and she has a family and, you know, we have, you know, our stuff. So in those basically stolen moments, we were talking really quickly sometimes about what can we do. You know, he was moving in the first part of September, which is, you know, that's a huge life change to go through and very busy and stressful. So, you know, we honored that and I let him, you know, do what he needed to do. And then when we finally came together and talked, it was just like, okay, I think this, what can we do? You know, and he was very respectful about, you know, the kind of art that I do, the woodland indigenous painting. And, you know, he was just like, you know, you know, do what you got to do. And I was like, yeah, you too. Just, you know, it's just really coming together. That's why Converge is such a great name, because it really was just a convergence of 2 people that were like, yeah, we got to have an awesome piece. And it was going to be awesome anyways. And so just coming together and just rapid fire ideas and seeing what we like. And Sandra was great help at helping rein in some stuff and focus on some certain aspects on how to make this actually possible.
Thank you. And you know, I hear y'all shouting out your mentors. And this is going to be open up for anyone who wants to jump in, but how important was the mentorship piece for you? And what is one of the biggest lessons that you learned from your mentor going through this process? And no pressure for those who know that Britta is on the line.
For Desiree and I think Britta's help with sort of synthesizing our pieces was really important. Like Desiree and I collaborated on the art piece, but she wrote the poem pretty independently. And then I was like, I'm not sure how to tie in like the process of the art piece to like the themes of the art piece. And she said like the nature of fluid painting is that it's like not so planned, but you have like an idea of like the colors you want to bring in and what sort of like shape you might want to go for, but it is pretty like intuitive and free flowing. And she said that also kind of like ties into the themes of our piece being transformation isn't going to look one way and it's not going to be a predictable way, and like your plan might change. And so I think that was really integral to us sort of like synthesizing everything together. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll definitely just expand on that. Another fire thing that Britta said, looking at my notes here. She said, art isn't something to just get off our chest. We want people to look at the choices we make in relation to the planet, in relation to all awareness of who we are and what we have to share and everything. So shout out Britta for that. But yeah, having that conversation was really, really special. And I think having a mentor in general allows you to just get another view of your sort of work and how someone perceives it, because showing it to Britta at that point, it was a little nerve-wracking because we were kind of in the final stages of it, and in terms of how much we could turn back and change, it was a little bit, we weren't sure. So yeah, she was really great at being able to look at it and be like, this is what I see and this is what I think. And yeah, so shout out Britta for all the support.
Another thing she sort of shared with us was that while like things might not always be in our control, there is still like a remaining intention to like our actions. And one thing we sort of meant to touch on during the exhibit and that the in-person talk was how even though there's like these systems of influence that might change our path a bit, like our intentions and like our ancestors' intentions for us like might still be remaining, you know, and while they might change, there's still like a sort of strong path, I guess you're following, if you will.
Thank you. And speaking of changes, anyone could jump in, but how many times did you change from your original idea to what you presented? Did any of you have like a certain, this is what we're going to do, and maybe, you know, the universe said, try again?
I think for us, it was 15 times.
Wow.
I sent Desiree 15 different art pieces and she's like, this is the one. So this was the one she picked. But yeah, there was like 15 different versions of this art piece.
Anyone else?
I think for us, the biggest change was for location. We had an idea of where we wanted to work based off the two first shoots. And like Shanice mentioned, there's permit issues. So we had to choose the last minute, and it worked out better in terms of storytelling, and that the locations we picked were in Malvern. So Shanice is from the West End, I'm from the East End. I'm from Malvern. And she, like visually, you'll see her in the pictures because she's the dancer. And then now you're also seeing me, like a part of me, because the locations we picked were places that I grew up, like my elementary school and yeah, just a few other places that I grew up. So I think that worked better for us than using the location that we originally wanted.
And there was, I'm hearing over 300 pictures taken.
Oh my God, maybe closer to 3,000. I was wiling on the, I was wiling, but I really wanted the stop motion. And yeah, it was a lot of bursts. That's why. So
Mm. And Karin, coming to you, what, you know, and this is kind of for everyone, the best thing that I really appreciated from this opportunity was seeing another side of you. Lucia, you know, on the day you performed with your drum, I haven't seen that side of you. Karin, I know you for dancing, and then you came with photography. You know, Sari is always surprising us with another art form. But Karin, what made you go a different direction?
Um, well, I actually started doing photography during the pandemic because a lot of dance spaces were closed and I just needed an outlet. Like I was going on a lot of walks and one day I just saw an ad online for film cameras. And then I remembered growing up, my mom was taking film photography since I was young. And she would always like take me to the store to get her film developed. And like, it didn't hit me that I was doing that as a child until I got my camera and started loading my film and like taking photos and getting it developed, that it just became it became a really natural outlet for me. And it's just interesting because like as a dancer, it's not a tangible art. It's like I rely on the audience seeing me and having that memory as like my art, but like having something tangible, like it just feels nice. It's like my vision can be tangible. Like it's just cool to have something tangible. And with photography, I think it's interesting because it's like a pretty straightforward way of expressing yourself. It's really just like, this is what I see, but like we all live in the same world, but like this is what I'm choosing to display. This is what I want to show you. And like this is how it makes me feel, and maybe you'll feel something similar when you view it. And like with film photography too, like it has a certain like feel to it. Like for me, when I look at film photography with the grain and the colors, it feels more realistic. And I don't even have to edit the photo most of the time. Like it's just organic in the moment. Like this is like taking a snapshot of what I experienced, and now you can experience it too in a way.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. One more question. This one is going to Sari, SRE. I personally know that you are a perfectionist and you know, you're in your space, you come up with your own beats, your rhymes, everything. I guess what was the beauty and the difficulties with working with someone who's not a not a performer, not a singer, like just on the totally other end of the spectrum, but you know, working together to create something special.
It was definitely sorry. It was definitely mind-boggling because it's like the first time when we came together, we're just like, yeah, I can't wait to do this. Yeah, I can't wait to do it either. Then it's like you really sit down and think about it. It's like, how the hell is this gonna work? Like, how am I going to? Because the thing is that like I when collaborating with someone, like I respect someone's art so much where it's like I want to make sure that they're bringing their side out, and then I'm not totally bringing them into my performing world. But it's like it was. I wouldn't say it wasn't as challenging. I feel like it was just the idea of the thought of creating something that could represent both of our mediums. And this was definitely this is the first time I ever done something like this. And I feel like I couldn't have had it any other way, because what me and Aaliyah imagined was totally different than what came out at the exhibition. So yeah, sorry that it's dark around here too. I'm trying my best to shine.
No worries, no worries. Thank you so much. Sorry. We are mindful of the time. So at this time, we're going to ask each of you to share where, people could stay connected, buy some artwork from you, download your songs, just the works. Where can they stay in touch? And also if there's anything to keep an eye out that's coming up. I know some of you are performing on big stages, opening for people, so I'll leave it to
Cough,
you.
cough.
Cough, cough. So what's that, Desiree? You would like to start? Okay, perfect.
Stop. You're so embarrassing. Stop, mom. Anyway, but I appreciate it. You can follow me at Desiree McKenzie on Instagram. That's mainly where I post about things I'm doing. You can check out my website at DesireeMcKenziePoetry.com. But also, you can catch me opening up for Rupi Kaur in December at Massey Hall on December 16th.
Sorry.
World tour.
Stop this. Stop. Come through and check it out, and yeah, trying to figure out an after party. So like, I'll send you the deets. But yeah, thank you so much, Vibe, Jason, Onika, and Katerina. Thank you so much.
Passing it over to Katerina.
Hey y'all. So you can find me. I just made my website. It took me 2 years and she's still working on it. So you can find me at memengwakwe.com. It's MEMENGWAAKWE. It's in Anishinaabe. So if you don't know how to spell it, it's okay. But memengwakwe.com or at memengwakwe originals on Instagram, TikTok. Yeah.
Nice. Passing it over to Aaliyah.
Hi, I am on the TTC, so if you hear any announcements, that is why. You can find me mostly on Instagram. I'm not very big on social media, but feel free to reach out to me if you want any classes, any pieces, or anything like that. And my Instagram is SAPITAAAAAA. So that's where you can reach me.
Hope everyone got that in the right amount of A's. Next up, we have Naomi.
Hey, so I would say the best way to find me is on my website. That would be www.nyaomi.com. And there you can find, it's like an online portfolio, but you'll also find links to home decor or facilitation gigs. And then my Instagram is Naomi Boogs, NYAOMIBOOGS.
Thank you. Next up, Shanice.
Okay. I am also on the TTC or the subway, if you anything that's here. You can find me dancing somewhere in the city. Website is pending, working on it. But till then, you can find me at Instagram _Shanice _. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And from one dancer to the other, Karin.
Hello, you can find me on Instagram at KaryinQ, which is spelled KaryinQiu. And I need to get my website running again because I have a lot of things to put on there. But for now, everything's on Instagram. My dance performances, workshops, whatever artistic thing I do, I will share it on Instagram. So follow me, message me.
Hey. And sorry.
Yes, you can find me everywhere at SREONLY, sorry only. And I never showcased this on my IG, which I don't know why, but I have a website as well too. And it's SREONLY.com. www.sreonly.com. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope everyone enjoyed today's conversation. Again, if you haven't got an opportunity as yet, please, please, please go down to Meridian Arts Center out in North York. The exhibit is on still from tomorrow. The hours are 11 to 6, Friday 11 to 6, Saturday 11 to 6, and the last day, Sunday 12 to 4 p.m. Make sure you check it out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Bring your mama, your brother, your sister, your daddy, your uncle, cousins, everyone. Our artists worked really, really hard in such a short time, and you will be completely amazed by the work that you see. Pictures don't do it justice. There's plenty of other artists that are involved in this project. If you would like to stay in touch, always stay tuned on Vibe social platforms. But again, we would like to thank, of course, TO Live, who is our partner for our exhibit. Everyone over there on that team, Jasmine, Josephine, Lynn, a friend of house, marketing, production team, everyone at TO Live. And we would love and appreciate, we appreciate all the mentors. We got to talk a little bit about it, but our mentors are a big support in any of our mentorship programs and exhibits that we do. So thank you to all of them. Britta B is usually on the call to say this, but I had to shout out Britta B and, of course, all the other mentors. To the staff at Vibe Arts, as you heard, we don't go out and look for a team to put up all the artwork. We do it ourselves. So pat on our back. But shout out to the team, of course, Jason Damata, our mentorship manager, who is the lead on this project. And of course, thank you to all of you for tuning in. And one last thank you, because this would not be possible without CSMARI, the Government of Canada's Community Support, Multiculturalism, and Anti-Racism Initiative. And that's it for this evening. We hope you enjoyed and get the time to go out and check out Converge. Have a good night.